almost everybody likes art. And that's my name, Art. What's your favorite kind of art? Painting? Drawing? Or coloring? Clay modeling? Or would you rather make things out of paper? No matter what kind of artwork you like best, you need good art materials to do good artwork. No artist can do his best work with paint that's dried out and hard, or with paint that's too wet and runny. Do you think you could paint a bright, colorful picture with these dirty watercolors? Or do your best work with these brushes that are stiff, bent out of shape, or ragged and tattered? And dried out glue and paste. Yeah, it makes my feathers curl up to see good materials ruined like that. These scissors have been spoiled too. Can you see two things wrong with them? Take it from me, your old friend Art. It's easier to take good care of your tools and art materials than it is to try to work with ruined tools and materials. I'd be glad to give you some hints to help you. Let's start with powdered paint. Before you mix, make sure you're using a container that's large enough so the paint won't slosh out. Easy does it. Add the water slowly. And stir the mixture slowly. Why do you think it's so important to add water slowly and stir slowly? When you're finished with the paint, what should you do? Right. Screw the lid on it so it can't spill or dry out. Or cover the container with a moist cloth if your containers don't have lids. This is the way your paintbrushes should look. Clean, soft, and properly shaped. Do you think it's a good idea to leave your brushes standing in water? No, sir. That causes the bristles to bend out of shape. What do you think will happen to this brush that's being scrubbed on the paper? You're catching on. Scrubbing with a paintbrush not only ruins the shape of the bristles, but also causes the bristles to break and fall out of the brush. You can't paint very well with a brush handle, can you? Of course, brushes should be cleaned after each time you use them. Always clean them in cold or slightly warm water. Never in hot water. Can you guess why? Hot water ruins the bristles and often causes them to fall out of the brush. After you clean your brush in cool water, gently squeeze out the water and carefully reshape the bristles. When the brushes are completely dried out, store them in a clean, dry box or in a brush holder. Now we come to one of my favorites, watercolors. They're fun to work with because they can be mixed together to make many different colors. But you can only make bright, sparkling paintings like this one if you keep your paints clean. It's easy to keep the colors clean. Just take time to always wash your brush before dipping it into a different color. Most paint boxes have a mixing tray in the lid. If you always mix your colors in the tray, it will help keep the paints in your box bright and clean. It's a good idea to clean the mixing tray often, too, so your colors don't become dingy and muddy. take a look at crayons. There seem to be almost as many ways to use crayons as there are colors of crayons. You can use them for drawing, coloring, etching, and resist painting. Can you think of other ways to use crayons? Most crayons are wrapped in paper. Do you know why? One reason is to keep the crayons from breaking easily. As you use the crayon, you can tear off part of the paper. Now, what do you think you should do with the paper you tear off? To make sure that your crayons aren't lost or squashed on the floor, you should keep them in a box or other container. A special sharpener can help you keep good points on your crayons. But what should you do about the shavings? Don't let them fall on the floor or on your chair. Catch the shavings on a piece of paper or in the wastebasket. But, of course, you can't use your crayons or paints very much unless you have paper. You can not only draw and paint on paper, but you can also cut or tear paper into pieces and paste or glue the pieces together to form pictures and designs. It's always a good idea to cut or tear your art paper over a piece of newspaper so you can gather up the scraps and save them to use in other projects. And, of course, scissors go with paper like jelly goes with bread. Scissors are important, helpful tools. But if they aren't used in the right way, they can be damaged or even hurt someone. When you're not using your scissors, why is it very important to close them and put them in front of you on your desk or table? What might happen if someone should accidentally step on a pair of scissors or sit on them? Ooh, ouch. And we all know what might happen if someone were to throw a pair of scissors. If you have to carry your scissors for some reason, always carry them with the points held down toward the floor, or with the blades gripped firmly in your hand. After you cut paper that has fresh glue or paste on it, why is it a good idea to clean the scissor blades right away? This boy has the right idea about using glue and paste. He uses just a little on his paper. Did you ever apply too much glue or paste to one of your art projects? If so, what happened? We all know that glue or paste must be covered when you're finished with it, or it will dry out and get hard. But what happens if we don't clean the inside or top of the lid before we put it back on the container? If the paste or glue does harden on the lid, always call your teacher to help you. I wouldn't want you to get hurt trying to open it by yourself. Do you recognize this material? You can form all sorts of shapes and figures from modeling clay. But the clay must be moist so that it will stay soft and be easy to work with. This oily type of clay is no problem. It doesn't dry out very easily. But you should always put it in a container when you're not using it so it won't be scattered around the room and make a mess. This is a different kind of clay, called earth clay. It will dry out and harden quickly, so you should always keep it in a bag or jar, or cover it with a damp cloth when you're not using it so it can't dry out or make a mess. As you work with different art materials, you'll find that each one has to be cared for in its own special way. Can you remember the hints I've given you for taking care of paints, brushes, watercolors, crayons, scissors, paper, paste, glue, and clay? Well, I hope so, because if you remember to take good care of your art materials, they'll do better work for you.